Remembering short-lived government of South Azerbaijan, 1945 to 1946. Our modern era of politics, international relations, and even the Cold War starts with South Azerbaijan. One of the first issues discussed in the League of Nations and then United Nations was the issue of South Azerbaijan. Even though Iranian Islamist terrorist regime wouldn't acknowledge overtly at the heart of the world's politics, South Azerbaijan is still able to affect and or change the region's and the world's status quo. South Azerbaijan is able and intends to change the artificial borders of so-called Iran, creating an independent, modern, and democratic nation-state. South Azerbaijani Turks ruled their own and neighboring nations for thousands of years. Their just governance over Persians, Armenians, Georgians, Arabs, Indians, Kurds, and other peoples of the region is embedded and taught in the literature and culture of the region. As long as history can remember, under South Azerbaijani Turks, all people were equal and treated as such. Their religion, culture, language, traditions, and integrity were respected and, in most cases, promoted. There is no single case of forcible assimilation to any language or religion in the region ruled by South Azerbaijani Turks. Christians, Jews, and Muslims lived side by side under Ghaznavis, Seljuks, Safavis, Avars, Gagaurs, and many other Turkish empires, regional or local governments, for thousands of years. Under South Azerbaijani rules, no language banned. All languages were protected and promoted. This was the norm for millenniums in the region up until 1920s. Colonial powers of the time preferred to eliminate Turkish rules over the area now called Iran, bringing to power some illiterate Persian madman called Reza Pahlavi. This brought to an end the great Turkish Gaddar Empire. Unfortunately, after the collapse of Gaddar Empire in 1923 and installment of Reza Pahlavi by foreign powers to the crown, the situation changed drastically. A very tolerant Gaddar system gave way to a despotic, narrow-minded, racist regime with the fever of Aryan melancholy. Reza Pahlavi, who was uneducated and illiterate himself, hired many intellectuals to fabricate a one-language, one-religion country of so-called Iran. Reza Pahlavi and his son Muhammad Reza Pahlavi were successful in creating such a country with the blessing of major world powers, billions of dollars of revenues from oil, and of course with the fear created by major massacres of thousands of South Azerbaijani Turks in the course of 57 years of Pahlavi rule. Under Reza Pahlavi's Iran, everybody was considered of a pure Aryan race, and anybody claimed otherwise would be branded as remnant of previous invaders to the glorious land of Cyrus the Great. Many paid foreign and domestic Orientalists, many paid learned university professors, and so-called intellectuals were in accord with the Russification of Iran. Every so-called branded Iranian was considered direct descendant of great and glorious kings of supposedly pre-Islamic times. Of course, oil dollars would buy or suppress any conscious person in the world. But when Reza Pahlavi went too far and his regime was allying with Aryan Nazis of Germany, he was deposed and exiled by the same powers who brought him to power and died in misery in Durban, South Africa. We remember him for his ignorance, his despotism, his anti-Azerbaijanis and his anti-Turkish. Long gone was the devil, and South Azerbaijani Turks were using the opportunity to group under Azerbaijani Democratic Party to regain their self-determination. 1945 witnessed South Azerbaijanis creating their own state again, a state with full human rights record and full compatibility with the world's democratic and modern countries of even present time. Women were free to vote and be voted. Education in the mother tongue of South Azerbaijani Turkish were free to everyone. Attempts were made to construct roads, bridges, and buildings after over 20 years of Pahlavi destruction of South Azerbaijan. After 1 year of construction and rejuvenation of South Azerbaijan, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was installed in Tehran as a king of the kings, decided to invade South Azerbaijan. The Iranian regime, with the green light from Soviets, Stalin, and blessings of the world's power, invaded South Azerbaijan. Based on independent eyewitnesses, thousands and thousands of innocent people were massacred. Farmlands were burned. People's houses were plundered. Women were raped and men were killed. Persian army knew no limit in barbarism committed in South Azerbaijan. In 1946, the world watched the Persian army rape South Azerbaijan. Persian army had free hand in creating the state of horror in cities and villages of our motherland. For over 10 years, Shah's army and secret services persecuted South Azerbaijani Turks at will. Kidnappings, exilings, tortures, and killing were common tools of oppression Persian regime applied on our people. Estimated 37,000 people were killed in first few weeks of the occupation. Following days, months, and years were worse. Thousands of children, women, and elderly died on the way to exile to southern deserts of Iran. Only after His Majesty were satisfied with the complete suppression of South Azerbaijani movement, he issued a declaration of public amnesty. The state of fear and oppression continued until 1979 revolution, which ousted Pahlavi regime and replaced it with the theocratic terrorist regime of mullahs. The so-called revolution of 1979 were aborted by abrupt coming to power of mullahs. Only the administration changed, leaving the system intact. All predict of assimilation, depopulation, the Turkization, and destruction of South Azerbaijan were followed by Islamic regime. Oppressions were increased, population doubled, and poverty is 100 times worse than before. South Azerbaijan was further disassembled. and the name of Azerbaijan was taken from many areas with the pretext of creating new provinces. Names of cities, rivers, roads, mountains, and people were changed by force to some meaningless Persian names. Iranian terrorist regimes' pursuit of nuclear arsenal only will be used as a deterrence for world community not to question the atrocities committed by them inside the prison called Iran. Islamic regimes extended fist of terror and barbaric shout of death to America, death to Israel, death to England should not be seen as the attitude of so-called Iranians. There is no such a thing as Iranians. There are South Azerbaijani Turks and millions of other non-Persians. And then there is a Persian Shia terrorist government of Iran. Iran's terrorism has extended its hand to neighboring countries and all over the world. In the last 33 years, Iranian terrorists had kidnapped and killed hundreds of people around the world. Many opposition figures were assassinated by Iran's terrorists all around the world. South Azerbaijani members also were among the terror targets recently. Iran is a prison of peoples. Non-Persians are running the game, and others are forced to be Persianized. Backed by army of terror, torture, killing, exiling, and many other ways of intimidation and humiliation, backed by oil dollars and the world power's blessings in uniformation and pacification of the country called Iran, is being realized in the last 80 years. Iranian opposition can afford to talk about human rights in Iran. USA can afford to talk about nuclear issues with Iran. But for us, the South Azerbaijani Turks, the issue is our very being as a nation with our own identity. Our issue is our undeniable right to govern ourselves. Our problem is not in Iran. Our problem is with Iran, which is occupying our land, South Azerbaijan, and destroying our people, Turks. Yes, we can, and we should talk about human rights in every case and everywhere. But the sensitive issue here is our people's right, national rights. This is the issue that is of importance and purpose for us. National independence and national identity for South Azerbaijani Turk is a vital issue here. To discuss human rights in Iran is to ignore genocide of South Azerbaijani Turks in every aspect of human and national life. The lessons of short-lived government of South Azerbaijan under Prime Minister Ishvari is too great to ignore. Now we realize that our problem is Iran, not in Iran. The most elementary, urgent and vital necessity for us is independence of South Azerbaijan, which is the basic tenet of South Azerbaijani Independence Party. We ask the world community to distinguish the facts of political and ethnological diversity in so-called Iran. Let it be known that South Azerbaijani Turks don't share any of this terrorist regime's political views. Let the world know that we have only one enemy, and that is Islamic Republic of Iran. Our enemy don't rise very far from us. They are our motherland's invaders. Persian racism, Persian despotism is our enemy. We will live and fight forever to defeat Persian racism and end Iranian occupation of South Azerbaijan. Now, after over 80 years of losing her sovereignty, South Azerbaijan is still under foreign occupation. South Azerbaijani Turk is deprived of his or her basic human and national rights, such as education in own language, work, and live in own land with own culture. South Azerbaijan needs attention of all freedom-loving people in the world. South Azerbaijani Turks need all democratic, non-governmental organizations and governments to hear our cry of independence, freedom, and democracy. In every country in the world, we extend our hand for help to get recognized as a people under occupation of Iran and to expose the situation of South Azerbaijan under Iranian despotism. Long live South Azerbaijan!